Hi there, I'm Dale Mathis, coming to you from my home studio in Sun City, Arizona, and today we're going to talk about everything C. It's like Sesame Street. Today's show is brought to you by the C scale and the C chords. All right, we're going to make accordion theory in C fun and interesting and stuff you need to know. Okay, so let's start off with what is a C chord. So let's take the very basic thing that you already know in your left hand. This is a little 72 bass accordion. It's the Roland FR1X. And that button that you look for with your middle finger here is the C bass. And the one next to it is the C chord. And we all start out with learning that. And then later we get the C minor and C7 and C diminished. All right, so we're going to learn all about this stuff. So the first thing that we're going to do is, here is C, that we all know that. That's the 2 black keys and 3 black keys. And so we, at some point, learned the C scale. So I want to first off point out, so here are the notes that make up the C chord. It's C, E, and G. So those 3 notes, let's get in the camera here. When you play your C chord button over here, you are in fact playing those 3 notes. And the accordion is just either mechanically or electronically playing all of those 3 notes by just pushing one button. Okay? All right, so we have the C chord. Now, the C chord can also be inverted. So here I have a diagram of that. In the root position, it's those notes that we just talked about, C, E, and G. In the first inversion, you take the lowest note, the C, and put it up on top. So it looks like E, G, C. Still the same chord, but sounds a little different. And you'll use this in harmony. And then in the second inversion, you flip that E up to the top. So it is G, C, E. Second inversion. So let's show you that. So here is the C chord in the root position. In the first inversion, I take the note that I played with my thumb and play it up on top. So I keep the E and the G and put the chord up, the C up on top. So it's still the same notes. I just moved them around to a different position. And of course this stuff comes in handy when we're learning about harmony. So here is the first inversion of the chord. And when we move it to the second inversion, you take the E and put that up an octave. So you can just keep going and go root position, first inversion, second inversion, root position again but an octave higher, first inversion, and then on this accordion I can't go any higher, but you get the idea. It's all C chord and it's all has to do with those 3 notes, C, E, and G. Okay, so there we've talked about the chord, the C major chord. Now I also want to throw in here the C major scale. So in the C major scale, we go C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. Okay, now there's a formula to every major scale. Here it is. Make notes. You'll need this at some point. All right, from C to D is what we call a whole step. And what a whole step is the distance made up of two half steps. So a half step, and again, this is in our Western scales, our Western music, the stuff that's been around for about 500 years, starting in Europe, I guess, and of course used all over the world. C to C sharp is a half step. C sharp to D is another half step. So that's two half steps making up a whole step. So C to D is a whole step. D to E is a whole step. E to F, see there's no black key in there, it's a half step. F to G is a whole step because there's a black key in there. G to A is a whole step because there's a black key in there. A to B is a whole step because there is a black key in there. And then the final one, B to C, is a half step because there's no black key in there. All right, and of course, when we get to other scales, you know, and playing in other keys, it's the same formula. So the whole step, half step, and then whole step, half step. If you can write that down, you can start with any key on the keyboard and it'll sound like a scale. You know, do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. Just show you here. I'm going to take, for an example, an E flat. And I'm going to go, what's up a whole step from E flat? Well, there's a half step, so that goes there. Now I need to go up another whole step from there to there. Now I need to go up a half step from there to there. Another whole step, another whole step, another whole step, and a half step. So it sounds like, has that same do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. And of course, where we use this most often is for singers. When you can sing a song in one key, but your voice just won't accommodate it in another key, you have to learn how to transpose. Okay, so that little aside, let's now get back to the chords on the accordion. So here we go with the C major, bass button, and the chord button, C major. Now we have the C minor. So what's different about that? Let me get up my handy chord chart here. What's different is that we've got the C note, but instead of an E, we're going to play E flat, and then the G is there. So, instead of playing, we're going to play with E. Let's take a new sound here. Let's see if I can get out of this. There we go. There, that's easier on the ears. So there's the C major. Here's the C minor. And over here, here's C minor. So if you hold down the C major, the bass button and the chord button, and hold these down, everything harmonizes together. Okay, so that's C minor, and of course you can do inversions on that also, so it would be... Okay, so there's C minor chord as it relates to accordion players. Now the next one is C7 chord. So what's different about that? All right, well, let's look on my chart here. And it shows that now we've got 4 notes in this chord. C, E, and G is your major, C major. And we've added a 4th note. It's the black key, B flat. And in sheet music, it can look like that. All right, so let's do that on the keyboard over here. So we've got C, E, G, and add B flat. And if we play it over here, and here it is over here. And so if I put them all together, and of course now you can do all kinds of, because you've got 4 notes over here, you can do more inversions. So you got, and then, and then, and then, and then the octave. And you can use different combinations of these notes. Let's put this down a little more. So that's a C7 chord, E, G, B flat, C. Sometimes you'll leave out the E and just play the G, B flat, C. And sometimes you'll leave out C and just play E, G, B flat. And the 7th chord is very typically resolving to another chord. So like here's C7, moving to F. You know, that sounds like bump, bump. And here's that C7 chord. All right, so you've heard that a gazillion times. And then in accordion language, we've got one more chord that we don't use too much today in folk music, but in big band music and standards from the 1930s and 40s, diminished chords got used a lot. And so instead of, here's C major, C minor, C7, and here's C diminished. So when I play it on the keyboard, it is C, E flat, G flat. See, diminished, we're making it smaller. Oops. And then I can add a 7th tone in, which would be A. And play it over here. And inversions. Sounds like mysterious, yeah? And here on the chart, just to show you, we've got C, E flat, G flat, and it's called B double flat to be theoretically correct, or an A key. So there you go. It's a lot of information that you may not know about chords. And this all leads to harmony eventually, how to harmonize your right hand and how to do jazz improvisations and all of this stuff that develops out of this, you develop by knowing the scale and knowing how the chords from that scale are made up. So again, if I show you that scale, when these are the tones that we need for that C scale, but when we modify it, instead of, like say for the minor chord, instead of E, we make it a flat. And with the C7 chord, instead of B, we make that a double flat. So it goes to A, and if we make it a diminished chord, you make the chord smaller, and so it's C, E flat, G flat. And we don't really run into it a lot. Well, we don't have a chord button in our left hand for augmented chords, but if there were a C augmented chord that you see in your sheet music, what you would need is a G sharp. So you make the chord larger, and in diminished chords you make the chord smaller. So the smaller chord is C, E flat, G flat, and the augmented chord is C, E, G sharp. Make it bigger. All right. Do I have your head spinning? All right, so I hope you got something out of that, and you probably have a gazillion questions about, what does he mean by all this stuff? All right, so anyhow, thanks so much for watching. Please subscribe to my channel. It's Dale Mathis Accordion on YouTube, and on my website it is dalemathisaccordion.com. I am the programmer for Craft Music in Milwaukee for all of their Roland and Chord digital accordions. Thanks so much for watching. It's all about C.